your presidential campaign, you were a big advocate for solving the climate crisis. And so we were curious to find out a little bit about what you think about Joe Biden's climate platform, and what ways do you think he could do better?
Well, first of all, as you know, I am partnering with the Biden campaign on climate engagement. And if you notice, he has his policy platform, he has really sharpened his pencil on this. And, it has gotten a lot more fulsome, and it is pretty progressive and forward looking at this point.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the biggest thing, Eric, and I thought this when I was running for president, I've thought this for a long time. To me, the biggest question for a candidate about climate and environmental justice and sort of the relationship between that and economic and racial justice is, where do you prioritize it? Like, one of the frustrations I had in the campaign was people seem to have a competition about the plans and the numbers associated with the plans.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the question was, okay, let's say you have a good plan. Where does it fall in your prioritization? Because if it's not in the top 3, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you aren't intending to do that right off the bat, I don't believe you. And, you could see it. That may not be true. Like, maybe we have such a transformational, successful election in 2020 that we get everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the tradition, if you look at the Obama administration, they had 60 seats in the Senate. They had the House.
Yeah.
And they basically got one big thing done legislatively, which was the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
And of course, then they lost the Senate and, everything went haywire. But in 2 years, they got one thing done. What I've seen from, I've been doing a series of things with the campaign, and I've been listening to the vice president talk about it. And he is talking about this as either his top priority or a very, very top priority.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know he's talking about, 100% clean energy generation by 2035, and that's good. And there are a bunch of things I could say about why that's possible, why that's important, and its relationship to all the other things. He's talking about this being a focus of his foreign policy, which most candidates, when I was running for president, and there were 20-something candidates, never related climate policy, environmental justice, environmentalism to international issues. That was all about Syria and, Russia and China. But he connects the need to get global emissions under control, with America getting its 15% under control and working with other countries to help them get theirs under control and to put a carrot and a stick around it. So to me, the biggest question for the vice president running in this year as our candidate has been, where does it fall? Because when the time comes about what are we going to do about EVs, if this is your top priority, you're going to jump right. If it comes down to what are we going to do about building codes, about getting natural gas out of buildings, if this is your top priority, you're going to get it right.
Yeah.
And I think, there's always an ability with any candidate to push harder, on some specific area. Like, it shouldn't be 2035, it should be 2030. And we could discuss how that's possible and what it would take to get that done and all that stuff. But the biggest thing to me is, does he prioritize this? Does he get in his bones why we have to do this on day one? Does he see it across the board about how big an issue and how interrelated an issue? And he actually does.
That's fantastic to hear, because I think that I'm sure you've heard that a lot of progressives are a little skeptical about where Biden stands on some of these green issues, but that's great to hear from you.
Look, and that's one of the things, as someone who started Next Gen, which is, youth organizing politically, as someone who's pushed on environmental justice from the very beginning, One of the things I want is for the vice president to get to talk directly to young people and Black and brown communities on these topics, so they can see that he actually is fundamentally good on this and he cares, that he relates to this. It's personal. This is something that he, in his bones, understands is critically important and is going to be a definer of his success.
Yeah.